Good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. It is Jillian. So you want to know why my group isn't super active and we don't have a bunch of people bashing other people too much, except when I get a little bit ornery and someone wants to reflect back, what I'm saying. Okay, but I don't feed into it too much because I don't want to turn it into a circle jerk type of thing. And so the reason why my group is not very active is because I don't want to turn my group into a circle jerk of activism that goes down the same road that everybody else goes down. And so you have to understand that you can have a mixture of mitosis and meiosis. And what is that? Well, indefinite mitosis and meiosis. And that is the ability to bring in new information, to evolve, and then still yet live indefinitely, where you don't have to die. And so that's why yesterday I was kind of just getting on the mothers yesterday, because it's up to a mother's responsibility to fill in the gaps in body, mind, and spirit when it comes to nutrition, ideas, belief systems. So that way the child can grow up in an ever-evolving climate and still live indefinitely without suffering too much. Okay, but we have a lot of homogenized units in our world that are impenetrable, and that has to do with politics, religion, and science. And so it's almost impossible to penetrate those units, those circles, though many people have tried, and usually the evolutionary entity is either attacked or excommunicated. And, I understand that, because if you're so comfortable in a way of being and you don't want to change, anyone that tries to introduce some kind of change is going to be looked at as the enemy. Okay. And so, we are in a kind of a war out there when you think about it. Not like literally like a war, but it's a war of people figuring out what the right way to live is and what the right future is going to be for the world. And then also what they characterize as what's going on. Is it the right way of what's going on right now in politics, or is it the wrong way? Okay, so it's a war. You just admit it, it's a war. And blocking yourself from information then turns you into an ineffective general that doesn't understand the wars on all the different fronts. Okay, so I got on to somebody, I don't literally get on them, but there are these memes that say that the media is the virus. The media is the virus. The media is turn off your TV and turn off this. And I'm like, CNN and Fox and InfoWars and all the different outlets out there are all information. They're giving you every single perspective out there that you can work with, that you can use to your advantage. I mean, if you don't want to be evolutionary, then turn everything off and then be in your little blind little circle and then just pass away in the system. But a lot of people who are activists are trying to change people's minds, trying to wake them up to something that's going on that might affect them and their family adversely. And they want to give them a leg up so they can survive all this. But no, a lot of people who are in the activist world are still in a homogenized circle. And they exemplify the same behaviors of the people that they are railing against. Okay? And so everything is chemistry. Everything's about taking the same elements or taking the same words and reconfiguring the words, put them in different places. Put the noun over here in the front of the sentence versus the back of the sentence. And then you can change the whole outcome, but still have the same elements. Okay, and I wish I had an example as far as chemistry. Well, you have, one carbon atom versus two, and that changes the whole dynamic of that specific compound. Like methane, what is it? What is it? There's methane, and then there is DNA methylation. And so the difference between methane and DNA methylation, is that one or two atoms are the difference. Adding one atom, subtracting one atom will make the difference of how the outcome of the chemistry is determined. And so that's the same thing with the words out there, is that if you take the same words that CNN or Fox are saying, and you have a very specific point of view you want to get across that is going to be life-giving and life-promoting, You can take the same information, apply a different narrative, and you would still be correct. Remember, there's only two laws of life and death. There's two laws of the physics of life and death. Okay? And if you don't understand the physics, the laws of physics, of thermodynamics, and the laws of energy, then all these different arguments and belief systems are then just kind of like, it's like deception. It's like you're falling into the deception. And so, you know, a heterogeneous society means that you're willing to evolve. I mean, that's like, you know, heterosexuals who have babies. They have an evolutionary baby, but then they have a homogeneous thought process. They don't teach their baby anything different except for the old ways, the ways that their parents taught them how to do it. And so you have a heterogeneous baby, but a homogenized thought process. And that's how the system is able to control your lifespan. And that's why salt has been demonized, because salt gives you the knowledge. Salt is light. Energy is light. It is knowledge. Lucifer is knowledge. But then the religious community has demonized Lucifer and made him into, like, you know, Satan. And that's not the same thing. They're totally different. Though they do work off each other. Because without understanding knowledge, you have to understand ignorance. And so that's how you're able to differentiate and then contrast the two and know the difference. And so, yeah, we have a lot of people who want to bear babies, but want to be in a homogenized thought process. And so the baby ends up just like the parents, you know, and then also discovering their predispositions probably earlier and earlier in a dynamic environment. And yet people say they're pro-life, but they're allowing grandma to die. They're allowing their baby to have their body attacked at the micro level through the different therapeutics. And then they're like, okay, well, I don't understand why the outcome is the same. Well, yeah. You know, you want to get everybody on the same page, give them all the different choices, but the outcome is the same. That's all marketing. It's just like promoting turmeric and honey and pills, powder, and supplements in lieu of a vector or pharmaceuticals. The outcome is the same. You're still attacking your body at the micro level, and there's no evolution. And so, yeah, I do get on even my activist friends who claim to be a different thought process, but no, they're so homogenized, it's unreal. And so that's why my group is not very active, because I don't want to have a circle jerk. People reinforcing and self-gratifying each other for thinking the same way. No, you know, John and myself and some other people who look at word etymology, that gives us the clue on what the intentions are. See, knowledge is power. Understanding the three words like ion tells you that there is energy involved with something like infection. There's energy with infection. There's energy in vaccination. There's energy in complication, intention. Okay, so whenever you see the three little letters ION, it means there's some kind of energetic activity going on. And then you have to understand insulation and covalent bonding. Then you have to understand why people die. You know, I see these articles that said, okay, we have a guy her husband and a wife who both passed away. They have 7 kids. Well, those 7 kids took the maximum amount of nutrition from the parents. The parents don't get a helper through the therapeutics because they're not feeding themselves correctly, or they don't feed themselves enough to handle the dynamic environment. And so when they get exposed to a new virus, the thermodynamics in the virus basically cannibalizes them. And so then they're like, oh, if you look deeper in the story, they died from a heart attack. Well, you realize that viruses do trigger heart attacks and strokes and basically death because people are malnourished. They have weak hearts, weak vital organs. They're drug addicted, or they're on a string of prescription drugs. And so, yeah, there's a reasoning behind the vaccination campaign. Doesn't mean it's the answer for everybody, but there's a reason behind it. But if you understand the energy behind all intentions, then you understand how to feed your body so it can absorb all those electrical pulses in the thermodynamics. And so homogeneous thought process is not understanding physics, okay, is not understanding the root level to death. Homogeneous thought processes is priding and having ignorance as a badge of honor. That's what, when turning off the TV is like saying that you pride yourself as ignorance as a badge of honor. When you say, I don't care what's in the vaccines, I don't care what's in the food supply. Like, I've seen that post about, oh, I don't know what's in, this or that, but I don't care. I trust science. Well, science is basically a narrative supplied to an action. Okay, narratives are words. Words can be deceptive if you don't understand what's behind the words. But that's what science is. So if you don't understand that words can be switched around, it can be used to deceive people, then when you cut off modes of communication, you have cut off the radio, if you are a general, of your troops that are trying to protect the Western Front. And so the only thing that you understand or can hear information about is the Eastern Front, the Northern Front, the Southern Front. But the Western Front, you don't know what's coming in and what's going to go in and potentially attack you or take you over, because you have cut off that information source. When you're dieting, you're cutting off intel. When you're playing the diet game, when you're playing the discrimination game and, oh my God, that's GMO, I can't eat that, I can't eat meat, I can't eat milk, I can't eat cheese. You've cut off intel. And people have cut off intel from their body, mind, and spirit for many years, and they reinforce that into their kids. And so you have heterogeneous kids with homogenized thought processes. And then, they don't survive a dynamic environment because they were never taught to, because the parents were so impenetrable. And so that's why I'm just like, there is evolutionary parenting, there's evolutionary motherhood, and it doesn't have to be going against your religion to be evolutionary. You can call it adaptation if evolution goes against your religion. Adaptation, mutation, which is all, the things that your body needs to be able to go through the changes so it can adapt to an ever-changing environment. When the climate change, regardless of who the catalyst is, your body must be able to adapt. Okay? And so, I'm cracking down on all the homogenized activists out there that claim to be something different and are railing against the government, railing against the mainstream media, and railing against everything, and they're not using that information to their benefit, not to benefit themselves or anyone else. They're not giving anyone any access to my information. You realize that salt is an actual cure? Salt is equilibrium, and salt is a catalyst to evolution or adaptation. And then the food supply is what codes your DNA to give you the intel to know how to navigate in this environment. But if you have cut off all of that different communication, you are now working at major deficits, and this is what kids go through as they're growing up. There are major gaps in childhood development because the parents don't know any better, and the system doesn't tell them how to do it. And so the gaps get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the kid is so narrow-minded that you can't get through to them when they're in their 30s. Now they're just in self-destructive behavior, not listening to anyone but themselves or their echo chambers. And so, this has to do with physics, because the second law of thermodynamics is entropy. When there's so much energy conversion happening when a child is growing up, the child loses bits and pieces of itself as it's taking on new information and releasing old information. But then it's not reinforcing that conversion process. And so the reserves are very low, and then they go and get their kid nipped and tucked and all these different medications and taking out organs. So the kid doesn't have the proper defenses to be able to navigate in a very, very aggressive world. And so the kid now is left with really not much defenses, and they are dependent on the system and then all their friends and family, because they were never taught to be relatively self-sufficient. And so the kid is set up to fail. And then in this dynamic environment, the kid is even more set up to fail because there's so many mutating viruses that energy conversion is happening exponentially. And they already came in this world predispositions, and they're at a deficit because they're not eating correctly. And then, then you're going to see lifespans get shorter and shorter and shorter. And people just say, screw it, I don't care, I'm just going to go out with a bang. And they justify their self-destructive behavior. And I see it all the time. I hear about it. I hear it from 50-year-olds. I hear it from 30-year-olds. I hear it from 20-year-olds. And it's annoying to me because they say they're pro-life. But it doesn't even matter, because I shouldn't be trying to change their belief system. But I mean, it's like this. There are people that do want a strategy. There are people out there, that do impact my life. And if I can lessen their impact to my life and say, okay, hello, maybe it might have them turn a different direction. Because I know people want to see their grandkids grow up. I know people want to see their kids grow up. I know people don't want to die from a freaking heart attack and a stroke. But hey, I mean, if you thought that what you did prior to this whole, viral thing is appropriate today, what you did before, no, it's not. Because the environment is that much more aggressive, more dynamic, and people are losing their shit. And so, everything is related when it comes to balance. And so I finally figured out the words for it, like circle jerk, hive-minded thought processes, hive-minded parenting, hive-minded politics, hive-minded body, mind, and spirit, hive-minded, remedy circle groups and the crunchy mamas. All these are hive-minded circle jerks that don't have any kind of evolutionary capacity because they don't want to feel pain and they don't want to take in new information. And then, yes, also greed. The money is too freaking good to really give your base anything new to work from. And that's why I get pissed off at Alex Jones and all of the crunchy mama activists. They're all about, oh yeah, my kid is on a gluten-free diet and I'm an anti-vector and I'm going to starve my kid from meat, milk, and cheese and eggs and whatever and only give them vegetarian. And then, yeah, that poor kid is set up to fail. And that's exactly the opposite of what the parent wants to do, but that's the outcome. And I'm just like, oh, and it's grating to see. Like, it really annoys me to see that there are activists and parents who are actively destroying themselves as well as their children and their base. Tell them to take all these supplements. Oh yeah, I live off the supplements every single day. I can't trust all the therapeutics, so I take a shiz ton of hormone replacement therapy every single freaking day. But I can't say anything to them. Oh hell no, they would attack me like a pit of vipers. So I just do everything through my Facebook lives and hope that somebody is reached out there in the homogeneous activist world, in the energy holistic healing world, in the allopathic, circle jerk healing world. But hey, I mean, if someone wants to evolve, they will. If they don't want to, they would totally ignore me and not even look at my information. And that's fine. It's none of my business what you do in your life. But there's a lot of people that I want to be around in my life. People that, that help me take care of my dog, cutting her nails. There are people that like my husband and people that I feel that I have some kind of connection with. I want them to stick around. I don't want them to freaking die from a preventable disease. Okay? And y'all want to live. Y'all have people that love you. Y'all have people that depend upon you. Y'all have people that want to see you do well. What's wrong with taking in new information? What's wrong with changing your mind about the salt? Salt is a catalyst to evolution and it is a curative effect, though you don't want to turn into the Crypt Keeper or beef jerky. So there's a balance between the curative effect and evolution. The salt was demonized because the medical industry does not want people to understand the power of it because that would take away a major source of revenue. But I have a very small audience, so I'm not reaching a lot of people, so they won't have any issue with me penetrating their base because their base is really very brainwashed. And so they won't have any fear of me actually making a huge, huge wave. So, because people don't want to feel pain. They want to be stayed in their cure state of decline and then go out with a bang and everyone's like, yeah, he lived his life. He died doing what he wanted to do out there in the bar, just sprawled out, drunk all over the place. Okay. That's how you want to see your friends go out? Fine. Good luck with that. Bye.